So my content team is telling me that I need to work on the first 30 seconds of my videos so that I can have more retention time, which would lead to more virality and helping more people. Honestly, fuck that. Here's the opening. If you're fed the fuck up with being fat and you spend all of your time thinking about food and wishing that things were different and living in the insecurity of your body and not going out to live your life the way you want because you don't want to be fat anymore, and you've been losing weight and gaining it back your whole life on every single diet that exists, do not skip this video. If that's not you, you're just not going to find this content to be that helpful. If you've never seen me before, hi, I'm Nick. I lost 110 pounds in 2019 and have kept it off for 6 years on something that I built for myself called the Common Sense Diet. But every single year before that, for 2013 to 2019, I lost and gained back 50 to 75 pounds on every single diet that you have ever heard of or that you have ever tried. Keto, low carb, low fat, if it fits your macros, obsessively counting all of my calories, extremely low calorie diets, the chicken, broccoli, and rice diet, every version of fasting, intermittent fasting, alternate day fasting, going weekends, not eating, weekdays, eating, everything. Literally every single thing. Everything worked until it didn't. What I realized was that I was not changing who I was, and I was never addressing the reasons why I was eating these foods. I was only working on trying to hit a number on the scale by eating less calories and being super disciplined until I wasn't motivated anymore, and restarted every Monday my whole life until I was just fed the fuck up. So that's the lens that I'm speaking from, is the lens of sustainability and what works in the long run. If you're ready to keep it off forever, watch this show, because I'm going to be answering your weight loss questions. Starting with question number one from James, who asks, why do I always mess it up on day 6? I'm good all week, and then I blow it Friday night. Well, the reason why you mess it up on day 6 is because what you're doing days 1 through 5 probably is not sustainable. The reality of this, I'm on and I'm good on track on the weekdays and I'm off, oh shit, I'm fucking up on the weekends, is that the way you're living on the weekdays is probably not conducive to what you want for your life. It's probably very, very strict, meaning that you're drastically under eating. You're getting to Friday and you're very hungry. You probably have a routine that's very stern on the weekdays and then no routine on the weekend. So here's a couple things you can try, James. One is never go deeper than a 20% calorie deficit. What that means is if your maintenance calories is 2,000, you shouldn't be eating less than 1,600. If you are, you're going to be really hungry and want a quote unquote cheat meal by the time you get to Friday night. And mentally, what that does to you is it just keeps perpetuating the on again, off again mentality that you will never break free from, even after you hit your weight loss goal, right? So the idea is not to lose 4 pounds on the weekdays and then gain 3 pounds on the weekends. And basically every week you're netting a loss of 1 pound. The goal is to consistently be losing weight in a gradual way. And the way to do that is to not undereat too drastically, number one. Number two is to build a routine on the weekends, is number two. And number three is to make sure that the foods that you're eating on the weekends are close to the foods that you're eating on the weekdays. So you might be eating a lot of weight loss foods, I'm air quoting that if you're not watching this, that you don't actually like on the weekdays, and then telling yourself that you're going to wait to have that pizza on Friday and rewarding yourself with it. Just zoom out from the pattern that's happening, connect with what it is that you want for your life, and visualize what it would be like to get to Sunday night having maintained a routine that wasn't so stern that you absolutely hated it. And imagine waking up on Monday not feeling like you're restarting, but actually already being 1 to 2 weeks into actually taking care of yourself. If you're restarting every weekend, it's because you're either under eating too much, you're depriving yourself too much, or you do not have a routine on the weekend. So explore which one of those 3 things are, create an action plan, and make it happen this weekend. Tasha, question number 2 says, was there a moment where you realized your relationship with food was not normal? That is such an amazing question. There have been so many moments when I've realized my relationship with food wasn't normal. When I was maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I had a roommate that bought pizza and then threw it away. And I remember going to the trash can and getting the pizza out, and then him watching me and then laughing about it and making fun of me while I was still doing it. And even through the shame of that, I wanted the pizza so bad that I just ate it, even though he was watching. And that's a really extreme moment. Some less extreme ones were just all the times that I had eaten foods that I didn't even actually want to eat. I'm like eating 7 pieces of pizza, even though after 2 of them I was pretty content. Just kind of forcing myself to eat those foods. felt very abnormal to me. And I started looking around going, oh, there aren't other people that are really dealing with these problems and speaking about them the way that I was. But yeah, mostly eating out of the trash was the moment where I went, wow, I have a very, very, very serious problem here. And there's more people doing that kind of shit than you would think. Next question is from Lewis. He says, every time I lose 10 pounds, I stop trying. What's up with that? Well, the problem, Lewis, is that you are trying to lose weight. Your goal is weight loss. Anyone whose goal is to lose weight is probably not actually going to lose the weight. And this is really, I'm speaking only to people that are lifetime dieters. This isn't for the people that like have 12 pounds to lose to fit into a wedding dress or to get their summer bod. This is specifically for the people that are 40 plus pounds overweight and have been doing the up and down shit their whole life the same way that I did. So Lewis, I'm assuming that's you. But the reason why you stop trying is because your goal is to lose weight. So my goal from 2013 to 2019 was to lose weight. And every single year I lost at least 50 pounds and either hit or got really close to my goal. Once you hit your goal, you get to see who you actually are the day after you hit your weight loss goal. And you get to see how sustainable your results were and whether or not you actually built a lifestyle of someone that is healthy and that can keep the weight on. And if you didn't, you're going to end up gaining the weight back. So in your case, if your goal is to lose weight and then you hit that weight loss goal, you kind of just like, okay, the goal's done. Now what? And a lot of the times that now what comes from the fact that losing weight actually feels more positive than gaining weight does negative. So it's similar to gambling. Over time, you gamble enough, you will lose. If you're playing against the casino, everybody does, unless you're card counting or have some kind of skill set that I'm not aware of. The reason why people continue to gamble is because when you put $1 into a slot machine and you ring the thing and then you win 80 cents back, it goes cha-ching, 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 because winning those 80 cents gives you +5 happiness points, but losing that dollar only removes 4 happiness points. So it actually feels better to win, even though you're winning less than it is that you're losing. It's the same thing with losing weight. So you losing 10 pounds feels really amazing, and then gaining 10 pounds feels pretty shitty, but not as, it's less negative than the positive of gaining it. So weight loss is very addicting in itself. And what that does is it causes people to sabotage themselves. Like, oh, I lost 10 pounds. Okay. And you don't really have anything else in life that you're actually working on or progressing in. So what we do is we sabotage ourselves subconsciously because we want to lose that weight again. And it feels really good. So there's that piece of it mentally, Lewis. And then there's the other piece of when you switch your goal from wanting to lose weight to wanting to live a healthy lifestyle for a specific reason, you'll find that that goal is something that's never actually achieved. So a really good alternative goal to weight loss is freedom. Freedom from freedom from food, freedom from thinking about food, freedom from insecurity in your body, freedom from feeling controlled by food and having to count all your calories, freedom from food becoming calories, freedom from sex becoming I want to keep my shirt on, freedom from I want to go on that vacation, but I don't know, I'm too fat, I'll do it when I lose weight. Like freedom from living your life based on how fat you are. That is a much better goal because that's something that you can stay much more connected to than just weight loss. If your goal is to lose 20 pounds, when you get 10 pounds down, you're going to be like, I don't know. It's just you're not super connected to that. So I recommend addressing, is your goal and your why real enough that when you say it, it feels like a throat punch? Do you want to lose weight to look better, feel better? Or do you want to lose weight to change your life, inspire other people, and actually live with freedom for potentially the first time? And the second thing is what other areas of life are you progressing in outside of just weight? You address both of those and you'll stop sabotaging yourself and you'll stop quitting after just 10 pounds. Again, it's not so much about the number on the scale. It's about who you are becoming through the weight loss journey. Question number 4 is from Maya. She says, what do you do when you're triggered to binge now? Like, what is your actual go-to? Like, what do you actually do? So this is probably not the answer you're expecting, but I don't get triggered to binge now. So there's steps to working through binge eating, right? I had a lot of binge eating tendencies. I was to the point for months where I would probably binge 6 to 7 nights a week, but overarchingly 3 to 4 nights a week was pretty normal for me. My binges consisted of getting Red Robin and Dairy Queen delivered or Pizza Hut share boxes delivered, but eating the whole thing. I was just talking to a client of mine about this recently. I will never forget when in 2018, I think Pizza Hut had shared this thing on Facebook it was like, tag 2 friends that you would share this pizza box with. And I was like, I've been eating that pizza box to myself once a week for like years now. And I also realized that was when I had a problem. But to answer your question, here's the steps. I used to binge all the time. And then I learned how to get clear on why I was binging. And I taught this to myself. So instead of binging, I would just ask myself, why do I have the urge to binge right now? What is the emotion that I am feeling? What do I actually need? And I would give myself the opportunity to bring mindfulness into that moment so that I'm at least making a decision. Because for a long time, I was just binging without thinking about it. So it wasn't like I was making the wrong decision. It felt like I wasn't even making one. And it was almost like I was sleeping through even thinking about it. It was so automated that I didn't even have a chance to win. So I gave myself the chance to win, and I started winning some moments. I started working through white knuckling, making a healthier decision and asking myself, what would the healthiest version of myself do? Then I started gaining some control over binging. And then when I did that enough times, I actually stopped having the urges to binge anymore, because now when things come up that make me want to binge, like specific emotions that I'm hiding from, for example, I'm really clear on either why I'm feeling that emotion, what I can do to address the issue instead of hiding from it, or just letting myself sit with the emotion and fully expressing it and feeling it. I'm so comfortable with my emotions now that I don't have urges to binge. So to answer and that's what healing looks like, right? And this is weight loss versus putting the issue behind you. Weight loss is learning how to work through binge eating. Putting the issue behind you is getting to the point where you don't have the urges anymore. And that took me some time, but that's ultimately what it is that you should be working for if you want to actually heal. So to answer your question, I do not get triggered to binge. It's been, I don't know, it's maybe been 4 years since I've binged, and maybe 3 years since I've even had an urge to do so or a thought about it. And if I wasn't running this podcast and coaching and doing content, these aren't even things that I would be thinking about anymore. Question number 5 is from Chris. He says, why does part of me not want to lose weight even though I say I do? That is such... Some people are not going to understand that question. Other people are really going to relate to that. Why does part of me not want to lose weight even though I say I do? The reality is that some people are not actually ready to lose weight. And some people feel like they should be losing weight, so they try and then they quit, but they're not actually ready. And what I mean by that is that losing weight, getting to a healthy body weight in a healthy way is the best thing that you can do for your soul, for yourself, for everybody around you. But there's almost like a different set of responsibilities that come with that, because it's a lot harder to let yourself off the hook. Right? So when you're fat, when I was fat, it's really easy to be like, dude, I'm fat. I'm not going on a walk. I'm not eating healthy. But when you're an actual healthy body weight, it's like to become that person, to actually become someone that doesn't even think about this shit anymore. You know how when you see like a skinny person walking down the side of the road and you're like, they've never even conceptualized these issues before. Like a skinny person that had never been fat and had never really abused food or had issues with food or weight or thinking about it or food noise or cravings or all the shit that's consumed you. Isn't it crazy thinking that most people have never even, like, this would be a foreign podcast to them. They'd be like, what are you listening to? If they were to go into your own mind right now, they would just, they don't even have an idea that these sorts of issues exist in the first place. So a part of the issue with you saying, or with you being afraid to lose weight, or saying that you want to lose weight and then not actually doing it, not actually feeling like you want to all the time, is that you have to let go of who you are as a person and not let them go so that they're gone forever, but actually learn how to integrate them. So you take this fat part of yourself. We can say you have a fat mind and a healthy mind, Chris. Those are the language. That's the language that I like to use. You have to actually tap into your healthiest self, which involves you changing who you are. When you change who you are, other people perceive you different. Other people perceive you different. There are different things that are expected of you as a person in society. And some people aren't ready for that level of attention. So, people say that, people talk about skinny privilege all the time, meaning when they lose weight, other people treat them better. Some people are uncomfortable with being treated better. Some people are uncomfortable with being seen, right? And there's just more responsibility that comes with being a healthy person. You put more responsibility on yourself, and it can be overwhelming, and it's letting go of who you are. And even deeper than that, that's probably not the right language. It's coming to terms with who you are. The part of you that is afraid to lose weight or doesn't necessarily want to lose weight and keep it off. It's like, yeah, that makes sense because it involves you letting go of what you have been doing your whole life. And that's scary. Is it tangibly better? Like, yes. But there's also people that are playing the lottery that then win the lottery their life then shit then hits the fan. They thought that all of their issues were going to be solved if they just had $200 million, and they get $200 million and they blow it all. They live their life really different. Things are expected of them in a different way. They're now expected to help other people with their money. Their relationships with their family change. All of this shit starts changing. It's just like your weight loss journey. People start treating you different. People around you, your fat friends that don't take care of themselves, start getting triggered. They want what's best for you, but deeper than that, they're insecure, and that they're seeing that you're improving yourself, and they're not understanding why they can't do the same thing. And it's just easier to stay the same. And we as humans, a lot of the times, most of the time, just want the easiest path because it's a survival path, So the part of you that doesn't want to lose weight, here's what I would say, Chris. If that part of you had a voice, what would it say? It would probably say like, oh, Chris, it's okay. You're happy. Everything's fine. You already love yourself. It just takes a lot of effort and you probably don't need to do it. And then ask yourself this question. Is there a different part of yourself that disagrees with that part of yourself? And the answer is yes. What would that part of yourself say? You'll find that both parts of yourself, that fat mind and the healthy mind, actually want the same thing, which is just for you to feel good. It's just that one of them wants it in a way that is conducive to that feeling in the long run. And the other one is setting you up for an early death. So you ultimately get to choose which voice you listen to and which one you want to embody. But I do promise to end the answer to your question, Chris, after you get to a healthy body weight, and very few people get to a healthy body weight and keep it off. And that's because most people just focus on changing what they're eating, not changing why they're eating it or their mindset or their relationship to the food. But if you actually do it the right way, you will forget that you were ever even fat, and everything in your life will be different. And the fact that you're even asking this question will be a total joke to you, where you'll forget that this part of you had even existed and was in the driver's seat in the first place. You really do deserve that. Pausing this episode for 1 second to give you an update on my mom's weight loss journey. I've been coaching my mom through the Common Sense diet system for 10 weeks. She's gone from 209.5 pounds to 197.5 pounds. So she's about 12 pounds down, has almost no cravings, absolutely zero hunger, does not feel like food controls her anymore, and most recently has normal blood pressure for the first time ever. She's postmenopausal, just like a lot of you, in her upper 50s, and has been losing weight and gaining it back on every single diet her entire life. And this is the first time when she's ever been focused on sustainability and focused on the reasons why she's eating the food instead of just changing the things that she's eating and hoping that the results stick. If you want to watch us cure her fat mind so she can actually put obesity behind her for good this time, you can go back and listen to our previous episodes together, or get ready to have her back on the show here in coming weeks. She says hi to all of y'all. I know she hasn't been on the show in a few weeks, but she will be back on soon, and she really appreciates y'all's support. Go Mom. Question number 6 is from Vanessa. She says, I don't enjoy the food when I binge, so why can't I stop? Oof, oh my God, is that relatable? I said that a bit earlier. For me, it's like pizza, like who doesn't like pizza, right? A healthy person might eat 2 to 3 pieces of pizza every once in a while. I would get full larges and eat them with cinnamon sticks, plus icing, plus breadsticks, plus a Dairy Queen Blizzard and ice cream afterwards to get like a 4,000 to 5,000 calorie thing, right? The reason why I wouldn't stop is because it felt so damn good while I was eating it. So it would feel really good, and then I wouldn't want it, but I would start playing these games with myself that were like, well, I spent all this money on this food, and I don't want to keep it in the house because I don't want to eat it tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm going to restart my diet. So I get a large pizza, eat half of it, be full, not want the rest. Be like, well, I'm not going to throw it away because I paid for it. I'm not going to put it in the fridge because I don't want to be back to eating this food tomorrow because I'm uncomfortable having it in my environment. So we play all of these mental tricks on ourselves, and there becomes this like punishment sometimes too for people where it's like, I'm going to keep eating this. And this gets really eating disordery, right? There's varying levels of eating disorders. There's people that are hospitalized for different eating disorders. I was never in that case. I had never, purged or made myself thrown up. And I'm not a doctor or a medical professional. So it's not that I have all the cures to that kind of stuff, but there are a lot of people that are doing these pseudo binges that don't have any path to work through them. And one of the best things you can do to work through binge eating is properly satiate your body to get out of the cycle of overeating and undereating. You'll find that it's very hard to binge at night when you've eaten a full breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like very hard. And people almost never binge early in the day. It's almost always late in the day. So to allow yourself to eat a healthy breakfast and lunch, when you get to dinner, the probability of you binging is extremely low. And then you combine that with mentally getting clear on why it is that you're binging and why it is that you're sabotaging yourself. A lot of the times it's because we don't respect ourselves and we don't love ourselves, and we're not treating ourselves in a way that's loving. If you're still listening to this podcast, then you do have some love for yourself because you're trying to improve yourself, and that part of yourself does love you. But overarchingly, you're not waking up at the same time every day. You're not going on walks in the morning. You're not taking your work that serious. You're not taking your family that serious. You come home and you watch Netflix and just goof off doing things that are not helping you move forward. You're not even relaxed when you're relaxing. You're watching the news as a form of relaxation. So it's not actually relaxing you, but it feels like you should be relaxed. You don't know why you're not. You're super stressed and you're just not taking the action. So then you beat yourself up and kind of whip your own ass and your own back by overeating, because that's just who you are, right? When you start getting an integrity with the rest of your life, you'll find that sustainable weight loss becomes a lot easier because it's a lot less about what you're eating. One of the best cures for binge eating disorder, what am I talking about? To stop binging is to write down where you are not in integrity in your life and start getting into integrity in those areas. You'll find that your urges to binge are drastically less, mixed with properly satiating your body. Okay, Rachel, question number 7 says, do you ever miss your old habits or comfort foods even though they hurt you? Do you ever miss your old habits or comfort foods even though they hurt you? So food never hurt me. I hurt myself. I did not have an issue with food, and you do not have an issue with food either. You have an issue with life that you're using food to hide from. So that's a really important reframe, because the path forward is to develop a healthy relationship with food. To do that, you have to realize that you do not have a food issue, you have a life issue. You solve the life issues, you'll find that food has 99% less pull on you than you previously would have thought. And this is really different than cigarettes and alcohol, because what you'll find is that if you just eat a maintenance amount of food, which most of you, including myself, have never done, we're always overeating or undereating. But if you just go 3 days of eating a standard amount of food for your body weight and body type or whatever, of mostly whole and natural foods, you'll find that you do not have cravings or food noise. They're 99% gone. But you've never done that before. So when I say that you don't have a food issue, I'm saying that there's not like this crazy withdrawal. People go through withdrawals when they stop eating carbs, right? Or when they stop eating sugar. That's not the path. When you eat on the common sense diet, mostly whole and natural foods, meat, fruit, rice, vegetables, potatoes, and dairy products, and don't starve yourself, you're going to find that all of your quote unquote food issues just seem to go away. And you're like, how is that even possible? Well, the problem is that you've never been properly satiated, and you don't really know what it's like to feel and eat like a human, which is it's not normal, but it's normal in this community and in this work of people that are fat and that have been struggling the way that I did as well. So that's the first thing, is that food did not hurt me. I hurt myself using food, right? Do I ever miss my old habits or comfort foods? No, I still eat my comfort foods when there is a reason to, and a reason being a holiday, a birthday, not because it's Friday and I'm sad, but when there's a celebration. So the common sense diet, rule number 9, is eat mom's apple pie when she makes it. But what I've actually found in recent years, the 4th of July was last week. And what I found for myself was really reflecting on previous 4th of Julys. It's an American holiday for those of you that are not in the USA. I would get drunk, drink a bunch of beer, eat a bunch of chips and hot dogs and burgers and just barbecue food. And I would feel like shit for like 1 to 2 days afterwards. And again, this was a long time ago, right? But I was thinking, yeah, it'd be nice to eat a comfort food for the 4th. And then I hosted this big 4th of July party, and everything that we had was pulled brisket cooked with onions, chuck roast, pulled as brisket cooked in onions, with massive charcuterie boards of amazing cheese, amazing meat, and amazing fruit. That's all of the food that we had for 4th of July with no alcohol. So I didn't actually even have a celebratory meal of quote unquote comfort food. But what I found is that I actually find healthy foods comforting now. Like, that felt better to me than, saving my cheeseburger or saving my comfort food for the holiday. It's like I actually just ate really healthy foods the whole holiday and felt absolutely amazing. And you get to the point where your body actually wants healthy foods as much as you wanted unhealthy foods. And that's really hard to conceptualize if you're fat, because the idea of not wanting pizza is really crazy if you're eating pizza all the time. But I actually don't want it. And I was telling you earlier, I like pizza. Like, who doesn't like pizza? I don't think I've had pizza in 2025. And I don't think about it except when I'm talking to people about it that I'm guiding through or on this podcast. It's like, I don't really think about these foods anymore. They don't have the same control over me. So no, I don't miss any of that shit, like, at all. I have zero cravings. I mean, if you walked into my place with pizza and I smelled it, yes, the pizza would sound good. If I walked through the mall and smelled a Cinnabon, of course I would want a Cinnabon. but I'm not thinking about Cinnabon and pizza unless it's already in the environment, which is actually what healing looks like. So no, I don't miss those habits and I don't miss those foods either. And when I do eat the foods, every once in a while, they don't control me the way that they did before, and I don't feel guilt afterwards. Thanks for the question, Rachel. Darius asks, I feel like I need something sweet after dinner or I can't relax. Okay, so here's my question for you, Darius. Let's say that sweet food did not exist. How would you relax? That's the path forward, is to do that. Let's say that food did not exist and that we all just existed like plants or that just breathe air and sunlight and water to live. If that was the case, are you living a life that you're even happy with? Have you built a life for yourself that you are happy with without food? And the answer for probably most people listening to this podcast is no. For me, it was absolutely not. But the way that you're going to work through that, I got to relax, food is my comfort, is not just going to be by finding another comfort in that moment, right? You might hear people that were never fat say things like, yeah, journal, or yeah, find a good movie, or yeah, go on a walk. But the reality is that if you're getting to the end of the day and feeling really pent up and anxious, there's that anxiety, that part of you that's like not relaxed, is there to tell you that you're missing something and that there's something that you're not doing that's in alignment with what your soul really wants. So to bring some of that relaxation into the day, it could be I hate my job. It could be I hate my wife. I married the wrong person. What am I doing? And I can't tell anyone. It could be shit, I can't believe I had kids with this person. My husband, I can't believe we had kids together. I shouldn't have done that. I would never tell anyone. I don't even want to live in this state anymore. And it's just like, no amount of finding new strategies to relax is going to make up for the fact that you might have built a life for yourself that you don't actually want to be living. So your ability to take massive action and change your situation in a way that other people might not approve of is directly correlated to your ability to lose weight and keep it off, and to not feel regret in the need to relax using food later because you won't be so pent up from all the bullshit that you don't want to do. What if you built a life that you actually wanted to live? You wouldn't feel the same desire. This is why weight loss is so confronting, because it's a lot less about food, a lot more about how you're living and who you are as a person. Pausing this episode because I have an ask for you as the listener. I love to keep this show completely ad-free. If you're finding this helpful, please leave a review on either Spotify or Apple, or even on YouTube if you're watching the video here. It really helps me to get this message out to other people that would benefit from knowing sustainable weight loss is absolutely possible, and you can break the cycle of losing some weight and then quitting and then restarting every single Monday for your entire life. Better yet, if you know someone that would benefit, just send them this show. There might be some information here that could really help them save their own life as well. And they're going to be very thankful that you sent it to them. And I'm going to be very thankful and love you forever for helping me keep this show ad-free. I appreciate you. Brianna, question number 9 says, when I'm anxious or overwhelmed, food is the only thing that calms me down. What else do I do? I kind of just answered that with Darius's question a little bit. So ask yourself the question, Brianna, why am I anxious? If you don't know the answer, sit in a room until you do know the answer. I promise you know. And the question, why am I overwhelmed? Same thing. I don't like my job. I'm overwhelmed. I don't like my boss. Why don't you get another job? Because that's overwhelming. Well, at some point, you've got to get to the point where you can do something overwhelming to change, right? Because nothing's more overwhelming than a lifetime of being fat and wishing that your life was different. So to be able to connect with the future that you're working towards and the future that you actually want, and then take the action of somebody that actually wants the things and that is committed to having a life that you want, which might be getting a new job. Really caught up on the job example right here. Let's find a different example. Might be if you're in school for something, to be a nurse, but you don't even want to be a nurse. Your parents just said that you should be a nurse, and you're just doing it because you'll make 80 grand a year when you graduate, but it's not actually what you want. You always wanted to be an artist. It's like the reality is it's pretty unlikely for you to not feel a lot of anxiety by doing something on a regular basis that you don't want to do, that's setting you up for a life that you don't even want. So instead of trying to cure the anxiety, ask yourself, why is the anxiety here? What if I was to listen to this part of myself that's telling me things need to change? What if I was to make that change? Is it possible I'd feel less anxiety? Yes. Is it possible if I had less anxiety, I'd stop overeating and binging or emotionally eating? Yes. Is it possible that if I did all that, I would lose weight and keep it off forever and feel better about my life? Yes. And that is the thought train that I recommend you go through, Brianna. Question number 10, Leo says, how did it feel to be in a smaller body for the first time after losing weight? Well, the first time after losing weight that's a great question, it was 2013 for me. And I went on my first diet. and it was mostly just chicken and broccoli. I say chicken, broccoli, and rice. I wasn't really eating rice. It was mostly chicken and broccoli. Most of the days I was probably eating sub 1,000 calories, and for maybe 2.5 to 3.5 months, somewhere in that like 80 to 100-day range. And it felt really amazing because there were people that hadn't seen me since I was fat. And then I lost a bunch of weight, and they came and they saw me like 50 pounds lighter. And it felt really good, especially relationally, and the attention that I was getting from women and the guys that wanted to hang out with me now. And I was really moving with a different radiance. But I didn't physically feel very good. I felt very depleted and really weak and really just frail. But energetically, I really got off on the idea of other people treating me a lot better. And I just felt really deserving. I think for me I was so disciplined, and disciplined meaning I was doing things regardless of my level of motivation, regardless of how I felt. I was still working out. I was still walking, running, playing basketball, still dieting really hardcore even when I was hungry. And I felt very deserving of love in that moment. It almost felt like I earned it. Like I earned this love for myself and for other people. And instead of giving myself love on the journey, it felt like this massive sigh of like, oh, I hit my goal. Now I can relax. And instead of just being relaxed on the journey and focusing on sustainability, I just tried to hit the number as quickly as I could. So once I hit that number, I went out and started living a life again and gained all the weight back faster than I had lost it. So, but for that 1 to 2 month span where I was quote unquote skinny, I felt absolutely amazing. Probably the best I've ever felt, because I'd never experienced that level of attention before. But once I started focusing on sustainability 6 or 7 years after that, that was when that feeling was actually sustained. And now that's just how I live every day now, which feels a lot better. Erica, question number 11 says, what does maintenance actually look like when you're not on a quote unquote diet anymore? That is the best question ever. What it looks like is having a system in place that works for you. What it looks like is food making your life better instead of worse. What it looks like is waking up and going on a walk without thinking about not being motivated enough to go on a walk or considering not going, because you're so tapped into the frequency of how healthy people live that you are the healthy person that we talked about walking down the side of the road that had never thought about these issues in the first place. So what it looks like is what you might consider to be normal. I feel really good in my body. I regularly don't have clothes on without thinking about it being a practice of not having my clothes on. I eat healthy meals by default without thinking about needing to eat healthy meals. Things are just automated for me. That's what healthy living actually looks like. I'm not counting calories. I don't have my Fitness Pal. I just weighed myself last week for the first time this entire year. I don't even have a scale. So I've not weighed myself in 2025 before this here first week in July. It's about 5 to 6 months of not even weighing myself, because not just because I don't have a scale, but because I don't really care what I weigh. There's no scale obsession anymore. I used to weigh myself 15 times a day. Every single time I peed, ate, or drank anything, I would get on the scale. And it's to go from that level of obsessiveness to getting to the point where my health works for me. My mission in life is really clear. The reason why I'm here is really clear. And the reason why I'm able to exist in such a healthy lifestyle without thinking about it is because the reasons why I'm healthy are way, 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 way more important to me than the little bit of laziness that I still feel in myself, and sometimes wanting to sleep in and not doing it, or sometimes wanting to skip breakfast because I don't know, I really want to make a yogurt bowl. Like, it's just not, I don't have these conversations with myself anymore because I feel so energetic and I'm so tapped into how I feel versus what I'm doing. I'm very connected to how something's going to make me feel after I do it. So when I'm out at a restaurant, like, okay, I can get a steak or I can get, a pizza and a burger. Like, yes, tangibly, eating that burger would feel better while I was eating it than a steak might. But I'm so connected with how I feel afterwards that I'm not thinking about how's this going to taste when I eat it as much as I am how am I going to feel and how is this going to be helpful to me? How am I going to be able to stay present with these people? Like, that's my thought pattern. And that's, I say healthy and unhealthy foods. That's what I really mean, is what foods are serving to the reason why you're here and what it is that you're doing in the first place. That's what healthy living looks like. That's what healthy people are doing by default. And so for me, again, I don't think about calories. I don't really think about this kind of shit. I have the meals that I eat. When I'm out, I eat the healthiest things that I can that I like the taste of. And I waited 5 years until after I lost weight to even tell anyone, and to even share anything on social media and to even start coaching. It's like a year and a half ago. It's like when you come from the lens of not losing weight and then being on some ultra restrictive diet, I like really went 5 years of never talking to people about it before I started doing this show. So sometimes even coming back and answering questions like this, it's like I forget these parts of myself because I'm kind of removed from how shitty things were. And until I go back and watch those videos of myself, that doesn't feel like me. That is a part of me still. That part will never die. I say let go, but I mean let go of that part of yourself in the driver's seat. It's still in the car, you know. But it's just when I feel that part of myself, that self-sabotaging part of myself, those patterns still show up. Before I used to sabotage myself with food. Now I might sabotage myself with procrastination, right? It's my health. It's not really my health. It's just like something with work or something with a relationship. I should text that person back. I'm not going to do it right now. I'll do it tomorrow. And then I kind of forget. It's like I'm kind of avoiding the issue. I still sometimes have those tendencies, and I catch myself. The difference now between me and when I was fat is that I tell myself the radical honest truth. That's actually probably the biggest difference, is that I'm very radically honest with myself. And through years of being radically honest with myself, I've come to know myself a lot more. So I can tell when I'm on bullshit. I can tell when I'm not doing something that I feel like I should be doing or that I would benefit from doing. And I can have an honest conversation with myself and find love for myself and find love for the parts of myself that ultimately are sabotaging and still have some of those tendencies the same way that everybody does. Question number 12 from Jordan says, I've been eating 1,600 calories and walking every day. Why is nothing happening? Well, there's a lot to unpack here. So it would depend on your specific situation. I don't know what your specific calorie requirements are. Sometimes people that are 60, 70 plus years old and are 5 foot or shorter have really low caloric requirements. So it's possible that 1,600 might be close to your maintenance. For most people, that's going to be, 1,600 might not be enough for you to lose weight, first off. So if you're a 5'2" woman that's 61 years old, your maintenance calories might be 1,550 or 1,600. Go use the calculator online. If that's the case, eating 1,600 is not going to do anything. The second thing that I would say is that almost every single person that I've ever talked to that said they knew how many calories they were eating were off by 30 to 50%. So an example of this would be my mom. For those of you that have been following her journey here on the show, as I've been coaching her, one of the very first things she said in our first coaching call together that we shared on the podcast like 5 or 6 episodes ago was, my husband and everyone around me always says they don't know why I'm fat because I don't eat enough food to be fat. And I'm like, that's because you eat more than you think. And then we have her actually eating more food than she was before, but it's higher quality, lower calorie, higher protein foods. And she actually found that she was eating a lot more than she previously thought. Oil's 100-something calories per tablespoon. Butter's 100-something calories per tablespoon. Cheese, like all of these different foods, we just kind of throw that on there. Just kind of eyeball that. It's not a big deal. And, then you go out to eat and you have, one 2,000 calorie dinner that was actually your entire deficit for the entire week. And that can get really specific and quite obsessive, but that's the reality that most fat people, including myself, are living in. So we're thinking that we are eating a lot less than we actually are. So what I would do is build some go-to meals, know how many calories are in those meals, and then let yourself standardize on some meals so that you don't have to count calories all the time. You can get a lot of clarity on what it is exactly that you're eating without needing to MyFitnessPal every single thing. If you're not losing weight, then you are not in a calorie deficit. The only exception would be maybe the 1 in 10,000 fat people that actually have a disease that is prohibiting them from losing weight. Most people don't. Question number 13, my favorite number. Amber says, I get super motivated, work out every day, and then burn out in 2 weeks. How do I pace myself? I would a couple things. So first thing is dissociate working out from weight loss in general. Anyone that's working out to lose weight is probably not building the lifestyle they need to keep the weight off, because if you're super motivated working out every day for 2 weeks and then burning out, means that you're doing more than you want to do in the long run. So my question for you, Amber, is if you visualize that you had already lost the weight, keeping in mind, I don't know how fat or how overweight you are, but let's say you're 50 pounds overweight. Let's say you lost 50 pounds in 2025. Visualize it's 2030. So you've kept the weight off for 5 years. You forget that you were ever even fat. How often does that version of yourself work out? It's probably not every day. You probably walk every day. You probably work out 2 to 3 days a week. The path to sustainability is to do what you want to do in the long run right now. If it's work out 2 to 3 days a week, then work out 2 to 3 days a week right now so you don't experience that burnout. And so there's not this question of how am I going to keep the weight off because I lost weight doing something really obsessive that I didn't actually want to do in the long run. Question 14, Nico, great name, says, is fasting actually healthy or just another trend? Probably both. Same thing. Do you see yourself fasting forever? If not, don't do it to lose weight. If you cannot do it for life, do not do it to lose weight. Question number 15, Sabrina, do I really need to cut out alcohol to see results? If you are asking that question, you probably have somewhat of an issue with alcohol. So my favorite answer to this ever is if you're asking, then probably yes. Most people just don't ask because most people don't have an alcohol problem, right? But that being said, the reality, it depends on what you're drinking, right? I drank alcohol. I did not drink alcohol while I was losing weight for the last time. For the 6 months or so, I lost like 75 pounds. Then I lost another 30 to 40 pounds in the 6 to 12 months following that. And I was drinking alcohol during that time. But instead of going out and drinking margaritas and getting 8 to 12 beers, there were pockets where I was drinking light beer. I was getting things that didn't have a bunch of added sugar. The reality is that if you're having more than 2 to 3 drinks per week, the question to ask yourself is, why am I drinking this alcohol? It's the same thing with food. Instead of just, okay, I need to drink less, and then trying to white knuckle it, force it, and then you go out with your friends and you binge alcohol because you haven't been drinking for weeks, right? Why am I drinking this alcohol? I'm drinking this alcohol because you're probably emotionally drinking the same way people emotionally eat. Food and alcohol aren't the same thing. You need food to survive. The solution to alcoholism is to not have a relationship with alcohol. The solution to weight loss is to have a healthier relationship with food. So it's about connecting more instead of disconnecting. So very different, but there are some similarities and people use them for the same thing sometimes. So do you need to cut out alcohol? Ask yourself the question, why am I drinking alcohol? If I'm drinking alcohol to have fun and socialize, a drink here and there, it's not going to matter. If I'm having alcohol because I can't be around these people unless I drink alcohol, I have more fun when I drink alcohol. I feel better about life when I drink alcohol. What can you do to build a life that you feel better about so that alcohol doesn't have the same pull? Question number 16, Zach asks, what's more important, calories or ingredients? They are equally important. The idea that calories in, calories out is all that matters is true, but what it doesn't take into account is that if the quality of your food is low, you will have cravings because you'll be in a deficit while also being malnourished from all the vitamins and nutrients and shit that we don't want to obsess about. We just come back to common sense, right? But yes, the idea of eating, extreme example, 1,500 calories of pizza versus 1,500 calories of meat, fruit, rice, vegetables, potatoes, and dairy products, you're going to lose the same amount of weight in the long run. You'll be more bloated and retain more water from the pizza, but you're going to feel better and more sustainable eating the other meals. So they're equally important. For weight loss is all about what you're eating. Sustainable weight loss and putting the issue behind you is all about why you're eating it and focusing on the quality of what you're eating, not just the quantity. You'll find that when you focus on the quality, it's really hard to overeat on real foods. Very hard. For you to eat 2,000 calories of meat, fruit, rice, vegetables, potatoes, and dairy products is very, 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 very hard to do. For you to eat 2,000 calories of pizza, we could have already done that since the start of this podcast episode. Question number 17, this is the last question, is from Devon. Devon or Devon? We'll say Devon. Asks, what's one belief about yourself you had to let go of in order to actually change? That is wow, it's an amazing question. What's one belief about yourself you had to let go of in order to actually change? A lot of my change came after I'd lost 2019, I lost 75 pounds in 6 months. I was still changing a lot. My relationship with food was still changing even the year following that. And that's where more of the permanent change really came from. The belief that I had to let go of to really actually permanently change is the idea that I'll be happier when. Two of them. One is I'll be happier when. The second one is that I need to prove myself to other people. So am I happier now that I lost weight? Yes, but not because I weigh less, because I don't spend all of my mental space thinking about food and weight loss all the time and calories. So now I'm really aware. I'm much more present in my own life. I've become much more interested in my own consciousness and how we got here and shit that people might consider woo. But I couldn't really even think in that realm before because I was so caught up in the oh my God, the food, the calories. Huh? And I just didn't really know who I was. So looking at weight loss as this conscious and spiritual journey of coming to know myself and gaining clarity on why my soul chose to come here and why I chose to come here on this planet, ultimately was a result of me of me letting go of the idea that I'll be happy when. So am I happier? Yes, but not because of the weight, because of who I became on the journey and what I learned about myself and life by doing it sustainably. The second thing, and I still fall for that trap. I say the way you lose weight is the way you live life. Weight loss is really the ultimate teacher. I sometimes still fall for the trap. The difference is now I have the awareness of the pattern of I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I make $500,000 in 1 year, and then you do. I'll be happy when I achieve XYZ. I'll be happy when I find my wife. I'll feel better when I travel the whole world. It's like all I'm doing is stacking a bunch of evidence that I am the person that I say that I am. And I've done that so much now that it's really clear to me that I am the person that I've been saying I am for the last 5 or 6 years. So instead of it just being a belief, it's actually like I have the tangible proof that I am the person that I say that I am. And that's the second thing that has changed, is the need to prove myself to other people. So a lot of my weight loss journey was about proving things to me and to other people, but mostly other people. A lot of even making more money, building a business at certain times was very egoically driven for me without me recognizing that in the moment. I want to achieve blank so I can blank fit in with other people, prove to other people, feel worthy. And the reality is that as I've done enough of these things and have done everything that I said I was going to do, I've really become a man of my word and a person of my word. I've just built so much evidence that I don't feel the need to prove myself to other people because I actually know who I am with certainty now. And I'm still learning about myself. It's not that I know everything about myself, but I know who I am. And I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses and I know my patterns, and I recognize myself when I'm in those patterns now, and I'm able to create a plan to move into more beneficial patterns and thought trains. So the 2 beliefs that I let go of were that I'll be happier when blank, and the second one is that I need to prove myself to blank, either myself or to other people. If you made it to the end of this podcast episode, thanks for being here. You absolutely have what it takes to lose weight, and you absolutely have what it takes to keep the weight off forever. If you'd like for me to coach you through the Common Sense Diet System, which is the system that I built for myself to actually keep the weight off this time, you can go ahead and click the link in the description of this podcast or this YouTube video, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Either way, see y'all next week.